Welcome to this edition of You Math. Today I'd like to introduce to you one of the characters from The Simpsons uh, who's called Sea Captain. His real name is Captain McAllister, and his occupation is he's a Springfield entrepreneur. He has opened the Frying Dutchman restaurant, formerly the Rusty Barnacle, and he has done recordings of old sea shanties, including Blow the Man Down and In the Navy. His dream is to sail around the world on 3 vessels searching for riches. And he's in a caption here saying, "Arr, is it more iced tea you be needin'?" See you later, Sea Captain. All right, for today, we are going to look at solving more variable equations, but having a bunch of fractions involved in the equations. We did a question like this in the last lesson. I showed you the final example in lesson 162 on how to do something like this. So the rules are the same. I know I keep saying that, but it's trying to get the variable alone by doing the opposite. So we are going to collect like terms to begin here. So we have an x family, and so we're going to gather those together. In order to add fractions, we have to make sure we have the same denominators. So common denominator, the GCF, is 10. So how do you get from 2 to 10 times 5? Do the same on the top. 1 times 5 is 5. How do you get from 5 to 10 times 2? So 1 times 2 on the top is 2. Now we can add these two together because they have common denominators. 5 plus 2 is 7. And we're one step away. No need to freak because there's a fraction here. It's still the same rule, and the rule says that take a look at the variable, and whatever's being done to it, do the opposite. Well, in this case, what's being done to the x? It's being multiplied by 7 over 10. So the opposite would be dividing by 7 over 10. And whenever we do its opposite, these cancel on this side, so we're left with an x. But to balance it out, we must do the same on the other side. Divide by 7 over 10. Well, let's put this over 1, and now we're just dividing fractions, and you know how to do that. 7 over 1, multiply it by its reciprocal, which is 10 over 7. Before you multiply, check for cancellation. We do indeed have cancellation. Divide by 7, divide by 7. Now it's pretty easy. 1 times 10 on the top is 10. 1 times 1 on the bottom is 1. 10 over 1 is the same as 10. So that's our answer. If they ask you to check in a question, once again, you take the final answer here, and wherever you see an X in the original question, you put a 10. So back up to the top. 1/2 times 10, or 1/2 of 10, we know is 5. And 1/5 times 10, or dividing 10 by 5 would be another way of asking it, is 2. And that indeed does equal 7. So it checks out. Second example. Here we are. We have our variable. What's being done to it? Remember, we want to get it by itself. It is being multiplied by 2/3, so we will divide by 2/3. Why do we do that? So we can cancel out. We have to do it on the other side as well to keep it balanced whenever you have an equal sign. X is all by itself now. We're dividing fractions, so we multiply by the second reciprocal. That means flip the fraction. And now we check for cancellation. There is no cancellation here. So we just start multiplying. 1 times 3 on the top, 2 times 2 on the bottom, and we are done. How would we check it? Well, take the answer we got, put it where the x is. So we have a 2/3 times 3/4, and that should equal a half. So let's check it out. Let's see if this actually works. Well, we have cancellation here. Divide by 2, divide by 2. We have cancellation here. Divide by 3, divide by 3. 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 2 is 2. It checks out nicely. Last one. Oh, we've thrown a subtraction into this one. So everything's still the same though. We want to gather up all the like terms or the same families. So we're going to gather these two together. So we're going to bring this c over to this side by basically eliminating it from this side. So right now it is being subtracted by 1/3. We want to get rid of it on this side. So in order to get rid of it, we will do the opposite, which is adding 1/3 c, which is the opposite of subtracting 1/3 c. That enables us to cross out, but we have to show it on this side as well. So add 1/3 c. Make sure that looks like I'm adding, not a multiplying. So on this side now we only have a 7. And on this side we have a 1/4 c plus a 1/3 c. In order to add fractions, we have to have common denominators. So we look for the greatest common factor, the least common multiple. I think I said greatest common factor earlier. But it's the least common multiple, which is 12. So how do we get from 4 to 12? We multiply by 3. We have to do it on the top as well. 1 times 3 is 3. 1/3, how do we get from 3 to 12? We times 4, so we do the same on the top. 4 times 1 is 4. Now we can add them because they have common denominators. 3 plus 4 is 7 over 12. C equals 7. Now we're one step away. Get the variable alone by doing the opposite. What's being done to it? It is being multiplied by 7 over 12. So we will divide by 7 over 12 on both sides. These cancel nicely and you're left with a c on this side. Here we are. Let's make it a 1 on the bottom because we're dividing fractions. 7 is 7 over 1. It's the same thing. So now let's start to solve it. 7 over 1 multiplied by the reciprocal, flip the second one, and now we check to see if we have any cancellation, and indeed we do. Divide by 7, divide by 7, we have our cancellation. 1 times 12 is 12, 1 times 1 on the bottom is 1, so 12 over 1 is the same thing as 1. And we've talked already about if you're going to do a check, you take that 12 and go way to the top here and go 12 times 1/4, which would actually be 3. And then on this side you have 7 minus, well, 1/3 of 12 is 4, and that checks out nicely. So for your lesson 163, you can do all of page 384, that's that one. And on 385, there's a bunch to cross off. You will cross off problem solving 1 and 2. In the sharpening skills, you'll cross off 5, 10, 11, 16, 13 as well. And you'll cross off on the bottom 20, 21, and 22. and flip it over. A bunch more to cross off here. 25, 27, 28, 29, and that is all.
That was easy.